Hi, hello. I'm going to try to answer every single question that you've sent me. So, bloody wish me luck. All right. Have you ever considered making a gallery/exhibition/art book of the best stuff you've made over the years? I would absolutely love to do an exhibition. I have no capacity to organize it, so I'd have to be invited, but I would love to. Love to. It's something I always admired about, like, the toy art people that I watched growing up, seeing them at exhibitions with a whole bunch of other artists collaborating and interviewing and talking to each other. It's just, that would be my dream. But too much work for me. I only have the time to make the things and the videos. But an art book, there's going to be one at Adepticon this year, and it's a collaboration with Matt from Totally Not Panicking, and it'll be fun. It'll be cool, and it will have most of my work in it. Okay, I'd love to see an update on Arcane Ugly, the state of it, and what playtesters have thought and made. Okay, well, you can see what people have thought and made for it on the Arcane Ugly Discord server. As for my personal contributions to it, it's a bit complicated because, well, when I first started that series, it's kind of crazy, but like the actual making those videos for that series took 4 times longer than the actual rules writing, the art making, the collaborating, and it wasn't a very efficient way of making a game. But I got it done to a point where I called it a beta version, and it seemed fine to release as a full version. But it kind of stagnated because I made that game during a time when everyone was locked inside, and it was my answer to playing games online with my friends. I wanted a rule set that was much easier to communicate than Dungeons & Dragons 5e. But once the sun came out and everyone went outside again, everyone just wanted to play 5e again, because that's what everyone was playing, and that's the easiest way to get a game and get familiar with the rule set, and I think that's valid. So I don't really know how much value the rules have anymore. Maybe they have more value to other people, but instead I've been focusing on making miniatures for that world, and every single miniature I've been releasing the last couple of years have been specifically for Arcane Ugly. So I'm still working on it, just focused on something that feels more meaningful for the current state of the world. And it's been great seeing those miniatures actually get used. Even if it's not for Arcane Ugly, it's great to see them used in Frostgrave and Warhammer and, every single indie game people are excited about. That's, I've just kind of switched directions a little bit. But I have thought about revisiting it now that I'm doing frequent videos, because that was the other thing that when I made that series, it was during a time when YouTube was very good at allowing you to make diverse content and getting it out to the right people. And now it seems like it kind of struggles with that. And I want it to get seen by the right people and not the wrong people. So I hope that answers your question. Okay. I'd love to... Okay, I answered that in the video. My son asked if your posted picture was art, and I had to explain what Game Boy camera system was. Obviously, it's art too, but what's the most unusual way you've produced art so far? I used to work as a visual effects artist, and I worked in VR and AR, and I did projection mapping, and I did installation for museum walls and all that sort of stuff. I've done all sorts of weird digital art. And I love using Game Boy cameras because it's like the antithesis of that. You get a couple of pixels and it's kind of fun. But that's a part of my life that I really loved. Okay. Have you ever considered doing more dedicated terrain tutorials like the ones from back in the early days of your channel? Love your stuff and good luck finding a new place. Thank you so much. Okay, well, the truth of it is that those dedicated terrain tutorials from back when, I was making those up as I was going along. Sometimes I'd write the scripts before even attempting the project. And I had no idea if they'd work or not, or if they'd be good, or I'd need to change things. And I'm basically just doing that now, but I'm kind of being honest about it at the forefront, like I want to share my progress, my learning, alongside me actually learning it, because that's what I was doing anyway. I was just kind of lying about it, and I felt like I was sort of, I don't know, felt a bit disingenuous, and I don't really want to be a teacher. I just want to share what I love. But sometimes I do tutorials for sure. And it's because it's like, I don't know, there's valuable information out there that isn't very documented, but it's only when those occasions happen that I feel compelled to make a video now, because there's thousands and thousands and thousands of tutorials now. And there wasn't when I started. Okay. Where do you find ideas for so many projects? Do you keep like a book or reference folder or what? Okay, yes, I do. I carry little pocket notebooks, and when I have ideas, I write in these little notebooks, and sometimes I'd say 99% of the time I never do anything with those ideas, because when you're constantly making creative projects, especially when parts of them get boring and monotonous, your brain sort of wanders and makes you want to do literally anything else, and suddenly you get ideas aplenty. So if you're worried about getting ideas, do something incredibly boring. Yeah, I carry around those little notebooks, and if I get a new idea, I just put it in. And if I ever get stuck, I reference them. And also my phone is filled with like a note section of similar ideas and stuff. And what's really funny is like I've kept notes for like, I don't know, the last 5 years about making these videos. And like I'll have a new idea in the shower, and then, be excited about it and all that sort of stuff. And then I'll write it down, and then like a month later, I'll go through my old archives and realize I had that exact same idea, and I've like written half a script word for word that I'd done 5 years ago and never even noticed. Okay, next page. What's an aesthetic you're not particularly planning on fully delving into? That could make for an interesting one-off project, e.g. Art Deco, Noir, Hellboy, Cyberpunk, Americana, Day of the Dead, Cottagecore, Alice in Wonderland, or minimalism, liminal space, perhaps. There's nothing I've ever not really planned on delving into, because I feel like I steal from like every aesthetic. Yeah, I mean, honestly, there's things that I thought I probably wouldn't do for a very long time, like do grimdark stuff, and then I started doing Trench Crusade, and I really enjoyed expressing myself that way as well. But I love shifting and changing and trying new things. So I haven't written anything out. Okay, you should make more Nurgle diaries. I would love to, and I probably will. If I was to do more Nurgle diary stuff, I want to buy the official kits, and I want to convert them, because I think that was my criticism by the end of Nurgle diaries stuff, is that it was very far removed from what actual Games Workshop models look like. And I think the beauty of the first sort of series of them was the miniatures were converted from the mainline models that everyone could access. So if I was to do it again, I would do that, but it's budget stuff at the moment. I can't afford to do it. Okay, you make a lot of creative armies. Thank you. Do you chafe against WYSIWYG? What you see is what you get. Is it harder to show up at an LGS, local game store, to play some Kill Team or something? I mean, not really. I've never ever had a problem, even when I've traveled, gone to places where people have no idea who I am. I don't have any friends there, and I've been met with open arms because people just love other people to play with. But also, I've only ever really played with nice, good people. And I think my experience with having like alternative armies or war bands or games is that it's kind of like wearing like clothes that are a bit that it's a bit like dressing in a different way, and people will sometimes give you funny looks, and people will give you compliments, and people will ask questions and make comments and stuff, but everyone's usually very nice, and the sort of like worries are in your own head. I don't know if that's a very good analogy. But I wouldn't worry about it. I'll just do it. And if you're kind and courteous to your opponent, they usually will be the exact same back. At least that's in my experience. Okay. Am I still recording? Yes. Okay. Would it be possible to get an insider look as to what goes on behind the miscast videos, like production, editing, and where you get ideas from? Okay, so in terms of production and editing, I love that sort of stuff. It's a huge passion of mine, and I could talk about it for hours and hours and hours and hours. I haven't found the right platform to be able to do that, or the way to connect to the right people for that. I was thinking about making a second channel, or an unrelated channel for all that, because I love talking tech, I love talking creative workflows, I love talking like gear and equipment and making your own and DIY solutions and practical stuff. And I feel like YouTube doesn't do a very good job of that at the moment, because I feel like most of the big channels dedicated to that sort of thing are people that just have locked off shots in one beautifully lit studio that they've never moved from for 5 years. And I would love to make a practical alternative channel to that. But I don't know. If that's something you want to see, please let me know. Okay. I'd love to see a tour of your workshop and why you have the things that you have. That's a great idea. Maybe when it's light, I might get Rachel to help me shoot that. Okay. I asked another creator a version of this question. I hope that's all right. Do you ever wonder what a 40k universe might look like if it wasn't grimdark? Wow, okay, this is a big question. But, look, you know, my love for Warhammer and 40k is that there is enough history in it that it is kind of whimsical. It is sillier the further you go back in time. And so I can always justify my whimsical creations or silly ideas and all that sort of stuff. But when I do them now in modern 40k, it's kind of alternative, and that's what kind of makes it cool. And so, like, I think it's kind of existed that way once upon a time. Yeah, I don't know. That's what draws me to 40k now. Okay, do you have any jobs outside of YouTube, or are you all in on this awesome channel? Thank you very much. I am currently just all in on this channel, and I've had jobs in and out all across the channel for the last however long I've been doing it, 6 years or something, 7 years, and the majority of those jobs were manual labor jobs. I tried to have like a real full-time job and juggle this at one point. It didn't really work because manual labor jobs are so good for this sort of work, because you can just switch off during the day and then save all your brain capacity at night when you're working late and making things. But every single creative journey I've been on, I've also supported with part-time work. That was when I was doing VFX and graphic design, and, you know, whenever I was a commercial artist, I was also supplementing that income for those rainy days. And I think that's a totally valid way of doing things. Now I'm all in because for the scope and scale I want to achieve, I need every single hour in the day I can possibly get. And, you know, there's been times where, like, I've sort of abused that, where it's like I've worked very hard to go full time, and then I sort of got in a trap where it's like, oh, I'm here now, I can kind of relax and not spend as much time working as I should be. And yeah, and now I'm trying to avoid that. I'm trying to go full time and treat it as though it was a full-time job, plus a little bit more, because I kind of have to. I hope that answers your question. Okay. So yeah, job outside of YouTube is valid. I just don't have one at the moment. Have you always been artistic, or was all this a learned trait? I would say Warhammer honestly started everything. When I was I don't know, I have this like vivid memory of being like a 11 or 12-year-old sitting on the floor of my bedroom and painting Warhammer. I was like, I don't know what I was looking for. Maybe I was cleaning up, and I found an old Warhammer in the back of my cupboard that I bought like a couple of years ago. And without even like setting anything up, I just like got out a pot of paint and just started painting on my floor. And it was like the motor skills in my hand kind of clicked, because I'd previously attempted it. I had painted models and stuff for my brother. And this time I was like, oh, this is the hobby for me. Like, I understand the paint thing, and I have enough patience to wait for it to dry. And then that took me to having confidence when we started doing art at school, and I had all these techniques and stuff sort of worked out, like dry brushing and all that sort of thing. And then I was confident in those classes, making art, and it kicked it all off. So I think Warhammer is a very good hobby for young people, but I think it's a terribly priced hobby for young people. So I wish there was a more accessible alternative in terms of that. So thank Warhammer for my love for art now, and also 28 Magazine for showing me that miniatures can also be a way to express yourself as well. Right. Okay. Would be interested in how your art style has shifted over the last few years, specifically thinking about how you've developed from the arcane ugly days until now. Honestly, I think my aesthetics and taste are all very similar, and my abilities are also pretty similar. I haven't really progressed that much artistically, I don't think. Maybe a little bit more conceptually, but yeah. I don't know, you can kind of watch my whole artistic journey on YouTube, because just about everything I make gets documented. Okay, how often do you get to game with your creations? Mine just end up stuck on the shelf. Okay, that's a hard question to ask. It kind of depends. And it kind of depends on like the season as well. Like, it depends on the availability of my friends I like to game with, and how busy I am, because yeah, I love playing games with my friends, but that's the primary reason I do it, is just because I love the social aspect rather than the love for the game itself. So if I don't get to play, I'm more than happy just making stuff all day, and if I can line everyone up, I'll play as often as I can. But every single thing I make gets either donated to the local shop or a local club, or sold online. Which kind of freaks some people out. But for me, I am happy knowing that the things I make are getting used. And use they do. Next page. Okay. Sorry, I have to mark each page so I make sure I don't miss anyone. All right. Is creating Kibashing your full-time job? Okay, we've covered that. What does Rachel do for a living? Rachel has also done commercial art for a living for various companies, just like me, but a lot better, and got more real full-timey jobs. I've been debating more and more recently about going full-time as an artist/freelancer, and I'm getting really tired of the corporate life sucking out all the creativity out of me. Okay, well, you know, if I'm being honest, kind of sounds like you've made your mind up. And if it's something you want to pursue, just know that it comes with its own sort of difficulties and own stresses. And you're going to be fighting for your creativity for different reasons. But it's not for everyone. But for me in particular, it makes me quite happy. But, you know, I've also I've watched a lot of people to try to pursue a creative lifestyle after being in the corporate world and stuff, and it's a ride. So you got to strap yourself in and be prepared for long hours and hard days. And my advice would be to get yourself in like a good mental state, a good healthy state, and tackle it with as much force behind you as absolutely possible, because it's bloody hard. But for me, absolutely worth it. And it will probably be worth it for you too. And if not, that's okay too. There's so many ways of finding ways of being creative in your life, and also you don't have to go full time. I really want to stress that a lot, because there's a bit of stigma about being a part-time artist, and I think it's a valid pathway for sure. Okay, if you would create your own tabletop skirmish game, what would the factions be and why are they fighting? Well, yeah, okay. I mean, that's very fun. That's a fun question to answer. But to answer it honestly, I would say I've never, ever even thought about it. Because the skirmish game seems quite hard to make. Because, I don't know, like the way I sort of tackled Arcane Ugly for tabletop RPGs is it's just like balls to the wall, make what I want to make, because it's an RPG and you can kind of work it out later. But in terms of a skirmish game, there's so much balance and rules and, caring about things that I don't. So I haven't thought about it, but I love to make things that can help other people's indie games. So that's probably what I would do. I would try to get a faction in someone else's game based on my miniatures. Like, what would be a cool game? Like Forbidden Psalm or something. I'd love to have my miniatures in that game. Okay, what is a technique you've always wanted to try but haven't yet? Anything that anyone will let me. Budget is the biggest limitation for me. And if I had enough budget to buy all the tools and equipment and give myself the best shot at tackling all the things I ever wanted to tackle, I absolutely would be doing that every single day, ever. But a lot of the things that I've always wanted to try aren't necessarily hobby related. I'd love to try to make a rug or something, or a gigantic painting, or make my own canvas or whatever. Any way that I can learn is what I would rather do. Okay. Have you ever thought about turning your art into a video game like Hylix? Is that how you say it? I've seen that game on itch.io a number of times, and it's beautiful. It's the clayey handmade looking weird one with all the crashed graphics and stuff. I learned to make games before I started making these videos using Game Maker and stuff, and I did okay, and I made little indie games, and I released them for free, and people played them, and that was really fun. And I have thought about that, but I hate programming, and I would have to work with someone else. But if someone else wanted to do a video game project with me that would be short and sweet and fun, I will happily contribute as much art as I possibly can, for sure. Okay, what are some of the most influential pieces of media that have shaped your aesthetics? Okay, Final Fantasy VII, big one. The Realm of Chaos books, bigger one. I would say in terms of attitude and music and wanting to play with different textures and multimedia, I'd say Samurai Champloo, that's a big one. Now I think, because I like a lot of grim and gothic-y things like Vampire Hunter D. Watched that as a kid, and I didn't appreciate it then, but now it's sort of been burned into my brain, and I had to rewatch it. And then also the Magician's trilogy, the sort of style and humor and whimsy in that. Bloody good. Okay. It's kind of a dark book, so I don't know, read up all the content warnings and stuff if you want to read it, though. Okay. If material cost wasn't a factor, what's something you would like to work with? I would love to sculpt a whole 4-foot table out of epoxy, modeling epoxy. I would love to make twisted buildings and stuff, a real city corrupted by chaos. It would be so bloody expensive. But if Milliput wants to send me a truck ton of Milliput, that's one of the only sponsorships I'll ever do. Okay. List as many different definitions of the word miscast as you can think of. Okay. Not very good at English. But miscasting spells is how this channel name came to be. When you roll double ones in Warhammer Fantasy. But also miscast as in, at the time, that was kind of the double entendre that it was I wasn't suited for the role. I was miscast in my role of being a YouTube presenter. And then now it's relevant to casting. A miscast is a miscast. Is that it? Surely. Let me know if I've forgotten one. How did you get into Mordheim? It's such a timeless game that has had so much influence on the DIY and weird kit-bashing parts of the hobby. As someone who just got into it last year and is absolutely loving it, I'd love to hear your stories. Okay, so probably what kickstarted it all was a campaign was ran at my club when I was like 12 years old, and I had an army of Warhammer High Elves, and I love Shadow Warriors, and one of the guys running it said, you can use your Shadow Warriors and play Mordheim with us. And I thought it was a really fun game, and I had a great time. And then my mind was absolutely blown when after the game was finished, they said, and now let's see what happens to all your heroes. And we rolled on the table to see what happened, and they got injuries. Like one of them turned blind, and one of them got a leg injury. And it was so cool. And I went home and I immediately started converting the models that I used. I made like a band over one of their eyes, and I gave one a walking cane for their bad leg. And I was able to hire another hero. So I hired another henchman, and I used a Skaven model, and I turned that little warband into like a Ninja Turtles themed warband. And yeah, it's really fun. So thank you very much to the people that organized that all those years ago, because I'm doing what I'm doing now because of that, basically. Okay, talk about your recording and editing setup, including your color filtration. Interesting. Okay. Somehow we have 30,000 edits and perfect 3-point lighting, but you're relaxed and slapping things together. Show the setup. Interesting. Right. Okay. Basically, when I moved into this space, I knew it needed to look good on camera. So I just put down lights in practical places that would light it up that I could actually use. But I made sure that in the main places I'd point my camera, there'd be nice lighting there. And for the most part, that's held up pretty true, and it looks pretty good. There's some parts I would change now, but yeah, I'm going to do the same thing when I move to the next studio. So maybe I'll document that thought process. But I've also got this light, this one here, and that's kind of my hero light. And the idea behind that is I have one light that I can control myself, and everything else is up to the studio to provide the natural lighting. And what I was most excited about getting this space was the nice bright windows so that I could show the passage of time, and it would look different between day and night. And that was a problem between the last studio. I could go on about this forever, but let's not, because people will get very bored. Okay. I hope that helps. And in terms of color filtration, I use a lot of retro filters that I have acquired from like estate sales and stuff. Okay. What would you recommend for blind folks for terrain and miniature painting? Okay. Right. Have you encountered a monochromatic style or method that works with this hobby? I wanted to get into this for a while, but I feel like my disability fights against a lot of the core techniques. Right. Okay. Well, to start with, I should say that I'm not colorblind, and also I'm very poorly educated in color blindness, but also color theory in general. Like when I do my paint schemes, I make it up. So I'm approaching this question from that perspective. But have I ever encountered a monochromatic style or method that works for this hobby? Yeah, the most famous one is like the John Blanche style of painting. And he's just released 2 paint sets with Army Painter, and I've been using them for my Trench Crusade warbands. I haven't mentioned it in videos because I'm not getting paid by them, and you know, there's nice sets. But yeah, you can steal those colors and use them in whatever brands you have access to, and chances are any combination of those should look good. It would be my badly educated guess. But also, Guy from Midwinter Minis is colorblind. I believe he's talked about it in a couple of videos before. So he might be the right person to ask that question. Cool. That's that. Wait, one more. You've made so much Necromunda stuff on your channel recently with the board and terrain and everything, but haven't showed off your Necromunda gang yet. Are you saving that for later, or what kind of gang would you make? I've been making that table for my local community, and that's why I haven't been showing off a gang, because they're actually actively playing right now. Whenever I finish off a piece, I drop it off and they keep playing. So I don't have time to join them. I'm just busy making their terrain. But I would love to do a Necromunda gang in the future. Next page. What is your favorite box for kit bashing bits? Recently I've really loved using the Frostgrave multi-part plastic kits. I think they're really good kits. The more recent releases are much better than the previous ones. They have better tooling, so they have sharper edges and stuff. I've really enjoyed them, and I've really enjoyed how they create kits that have diversity in them, which is rare. So those, and then also the Warhammer Fantasy, or Old World now, or I guess it's in Age of Sigmar, the giant kits, or the, what are they called in Age of Sigmar? Gargants? Gargant kit. Some brilliant bits in there that I have used for all sorts of stuff, but it's like good because it's weird bits, not bits that are useful generally. Okay, what's some advice to paint Genestealer cults in a more timely manner? I have no idea. Use oil paints, probably, I think. I'm not very good at painting. I just make it up as I go along. But if I was to tackle it, I would use oil paints and just, like, wipe it off. Like, heavy oils and then wipe it away. Also, what is your advice on finding time for hobby stuff? It's way too easy to consume media rather than being creative. I absolutely agree. And it's been a real struggle in my life in the last 12 months is being overconsumed by media. But I deleted Instagram a few weeks ago, and genuinely it changed everything. My mental health, my physical health, and my motivation. And I got better sleep because I wasn't just like mindlessly scrolling at nighttime. And also, like, the only issue is that I kind of need Instagram to, like, share people's stuff they tag me in, or answer questions or respond to DMs. So I basically do that once a week, where I reinstall the app and I quickly share everything and say thank yous, and then I dip. But I'm also not on any other media. I don't use X. I don't use Blue Sky or anything like that. I think it's all bad for you, in my opinion. But whatever. Okay. We know the models and games you like. What is your least favorite game to play, and the personal kit bash you like the least? Okay. That's okay. I can only really comment on games I actively play, because I don't really try new games that often. I would say that most Warhammer games are kind of dated by today's standards. Like, the whole I take a turn and then you take a turn is very slow. It doesn't feel great. It'd be great if it was like I move a model and you move a model, and I move a model and you do a model, you know. It would be more dynamic, and I would love to see that. But I honestly don't have very many criticisms for the games I play. I have criticisms if it's not a friendly environment. That's all. I have very low standards. If I'm playing with nice people, it's a blast, always. What do you think of an idea for Mordheim Possessed? A man, like a pot man, but he's a tea kettle, and smaller men who are teacups. What do you think? That sounds very fun. That sounds like something in Turnip 28. Right. Would you rather live in a world without miniatures or one without terrain? Maybe. Oh, that's hard. I feel like I could express myself in both if need be. So maybe I'd say without terrain. Yeah, terrain, because if I go terrain, if there's no terrain, at least I'll have more space in my workshop. Okay. It took me so long to think of a good question, so I'm late to the party. About 30 seconds into your newest video, I thought of something I wanted to know. It looks like in many of your videos, you have sepia lighting. How do you achieve that? It's filters and like film emulation software. I generally make things a little bit warmer. And also I use real warm bulbs in all my lights, and they make me look warm. I've kind of like toned that back a little bit in my more recent releases, but things are still warm, and I like the warm because it makes you feel cozy. Right, what's your favorite set for bits? Got that one? Have you ever thought about catching these hands in a game of your choice at Adepticon this year? If you're going, that is. Adepticon, the first time I went, it was so chill. It was like the most chill experience that I ever had, because I was just hanging out with my friends and I had so many lovely fan interactions. And then my second Adepticon, I went there with so much planned because I was like, I had so much time last year. And last year it was crazy. I was like up all night, every night. I was socializing from the moment I woke up to the moment I went to bed. I saw the sunrise far too many of those nights, and my day was filled with so many lovely people I got to meet that watched my videos, and I got given so many lovely gifts, and it was so overwhelming in the absolute best way possible. But it kind of meant that the things that I had planned, I didn't really have time for. And this year, I am just going with zero expectations. I'm not going with any models. And, well, I'm going with one model to play one game, which is Mech 28, because it's a short, fast, fun game. And that's it. That's my only commitment. The rest can just be socializing and having fun and relaxing and meeting lovely people. So, sorry, no games, but we can hang. We can say hellos and look at each other's models. And for me, that would be lovely. Okay, have you got any storage tips and tricks for keeping bits and bobs in small spaces? My favorite piece of advice comes from Mel, the terrain tutor, who says, make terrain to fit the storage that you have. And I've never once listened to that advice, but I should. When we get a workshop tour, let's make it happen. For sure. Have you ever had a dream you had you could you'll do you once you could do so you'll do you could you want them to do you so much you could do anything? Have you ever considered making a conventional Warhammer army? I don't know what you mean by that. No, obviously, my armies are a little bit unconventional. But I have done conventional armies. That's how I started playing Warhammer. I did a conventional High Elves Warhammer army. That was like 3,000 points. I did a conventional Wood Elves army. That was like 2,000 points. And then Dwarves, which was 1,500 points. And they were all painted to a traditional color scheme and with traditional painting techniques. Never doing it again. Those days are done. Can you make a Gaslands car? I really want to. I just haven't. If I do a Gaslands car, I really want to convert a car that has significance to me, like a model car that has significance to me, like one of the cars that I used to like hang out with my friends, on the weekend or late at night when we were skateboarding or something like that. And I'd love to like get the actual car that we had as teenagers as well as the model of them and like do a scale shot where you like zoom in and out and there's like the real car there and have an excuse to hang out with my friends and talk about days past. I'd love to do it. It's a big production, and the car that I wanted to do specifically is quite a rare model to get in like Matchbox size or Hot Wheels size, so I have to keep working on that. Will you be coming to Boyle again? Bring out your lead. I'm planning to actually game this year. It's very far away and very expensive to get to, but if some miracle happens, like this channel takes off, like patron numbers go up, I will absolutely do my best because I love it there and I love the UK and I love the wonderful people there like Curtis from Ramshackle Games. What a beauty. Next page. Question. In the video where you make the monolith, that was a very long time ago, about 50 seconds into the video, Riley, okay, mentioned something about a dwarf who never should have entered that cave. Oh my god, what a question. Without context, that edit is just like that. I've seen the video several times now, and every time I get to that part, I wonder what you were chatting about that led up to this. Yeah, okay, well, I kind of did that little edit intentionally because when I was editing, I think that bit was just meant to be like nice B-roll, but I had captured that audio and it was very funny to me. But the context of that audio was we just started playing Dungeons & Dragons 5e, and that was the very first time that Riley had ever ran a session, and he was telling me about how much he had to improvise and how he was just making it up as he went along, and I thought he did a very good job. And it was a great time, and I cherish that video a lot. Okay. That's very funny. If you were to recommend some skirmish games to try for people new to wargaming, what would your top picks be? I would say, if you want something that you can sell to people because it's sort of widely known, I would say Frostgrave is a good one. It's not the best system in the world, but it's a good one to recommend. Mech 28 is a great one because I have a free print and play terrain set, so the investment is minimal. And then I would say probably Mini Gangs, which is a game by Curtis from Ramshackle Games. And I haven't had a chance to play it, but I've never heard more compliments about an easy game ever in my whole entire life. So, must be good. Right. Where do you buy your green stuff? Where can you buy your green stuff? Well, you can probably buy it in lots of places online if you have access to that. If you can't buy local, get it online. There's heaps and heaps and heaps of places that sell it. What are your thoughts on extreme metal like death metal, black metal, and grindcore? I don't know. I don't listen to anything too heavy, at least not intentionally. And yeah, sorry if I come across as someone that looks like they would. Where do you get your hoodies? Whenever I get this question, it's always probably Cool Shirts. Branded hoodie or shirt. And they're Australian and quite cool. Okay. Right. Would you ever consider making a bead bot for something? Yeah. Like I dig beads. Heaps. Beads are really cool and a really, really good way of like making cool embellishments or as like a great starting place or whatever. Maybe I'll do a bead bot. Might be a really good video. Okay, what was your highlight in visiting the UK? If you could recommend a country to visit, where would you want to go? My highlight was Ramshackle Games in Nottingham. Curtis creates the best, most welcoming environment for me and anyone I've ever brought through his doors. And if I lived there, I'd be there every single day hobbying alongside the wonderful group of people that surround Curtis. And yeah, so if you're in the UK, I'd recommend going to Nottingham and visiting Curtis. Right, if you could recommend a country to visit, where would you want to go? I don't know. I guess the UK is a really good one. Would you run a con for us in Australia? Bitsapalooza. That's a great name. But no, I'm terrible at organizing anything. I'm terrible at organizing anything, including me. But my friend Jackson is also starting to run conventions, little indie conventions in Australia. Just ran one called Can't Con, which is a play on CanCon, and had a great turnout, and it seemed like a great time. I wasn't able to get there because I couldn't afford it, but I was devastated when I missed it. So next year, Okay, what about making something with a musical instrument or themed around a specific song? I think that's a really great suggestion, and I'm going to think about that. What do you generally prefer, goblins or gnomes? Obviously goblins. Who would pick gnomes? How in the world do you stay motivated to do anything more than a month? I'm assuming here. Smaller projects, for sure. Smaller projects in one wider hobby, so that you get constant dopamine fixes wherever possible. Deodorant Grav Tank when? It's a great idea. If I can get one of the original deodorant sticks, I'd love to do that. Cold ones when? That'd be pretty fun. They're very, very, very cool. How do you deal with creative burnout? I just make lots and lots and lots of projects. That's 100% the secret to not getting burnt out. Anytime I felt burnt out, it's because I've done the same thing to an unhealthy degree. And I've lost all interest, and every day I'm just forcing myself to work on something. And can't be doing that. Not good for you. So, make more things. That sounds counterproductive, but it works for me. I've been able to introduce a few friends to the hobby, but don't want to spend lots of cash on it. What would you recommend? Some low-cost mini-based games. Yeah, all the ones I've already recommended are all perfect. They all follow that criteria. How's your neighbor? The guy with the horns. Have you told him you'll be leaving in a while? I haven't got to see him in quite a long time, so hopefully he's okay. Do you ever think you'll try your hand at another tabletop RPG system, or has Arcane Ugly scratched that itch? I would love to maybe convert Arcane Ugly to a different tabletop RPG system. Maybe like one that my friends make, like Bloodwork from Big Boy Game Time, and maybe Morkborg. That's like probably the most recognized indie game that people know the rules for. I'd love to do something like that. How about your top 5 favorite videos and top 5 liked videos? I would just say that my favorite video is probably my problem-solving video, and then my feel sad make art video. They were very important videos for me at the time to make, and they really helped process thoughts and feelings, and I love how much they've helped other people. What are your thoughts on Games Workshop possibly republishing Mordheim? Are they? There's been talk for like 25 years. Is that Rachel? Oh, I think Rachel's awake. What are your thoughts on Games Workshop possibly republishing Mordheim? Also, are you going to Adepticon this year? I am. I've got tickets and not much else, but I'll be there somehow. I think Games Workshop can publish Mordheim as much as they want, and I think it will probably ultimately be a good thing to get more people interested and invested into a system that I love. I don't know if it will necessarily have the same magic and mysticism and specialness that the first edition had, with the best contributing to it, the best artists, best game developers, best writers. So, yeah, but I'm not opposed to it, because it will bring more people to the first edition, or excited about the first edition, I think, and I'd love models to be available for people to use for the first edition as well. But what they really should do is just reprint the book, just like they have for Realm of Chaos and Rogue Trader, in my opinion. How are you today? Sleep good? Any weird dreams? I haven't been well the last couple of days, but I'm working through it. Thank you very much for asking. Do you want my old Warhammer? Yeah. What? Please. But also you should absolutely keep it, because you never know. You might want it a little bit later down the track. But if you really don't want it, of course I'll take it. I'll absolutely love it. And finally, how is this the best thing that has ever happened to you? How is this the best thing that's ever happened to me? Well, first of all, you're making an assumption that it is the best thing. But it absolutely is, for sure. I think... Let me think. How is this the best thing that's ever happened to you? Okay. Every single day that I get to wake up and I get to make whatever I want and have so many fantastic people see it and share their own hobby with me and say nice things and hear that I've inspired them in some capacity is like, I don't know, it's indescribable how nice that is. And it makes every bit of hardship always worth it, because it's a very difficult thing to do, and I have to wear so many hats all the time, and if I make mistakes, it costs a lot of money, and there's only ever one person to blame ever whenever something goes wrong, and it's me. And so a lot of responsibility there as well. So it's bloody hard doing this sometimes, but it's also something that I will fight for to keep going forever, because it's a joy that I've never experienced otherwise. Getting to make all this stuff and feel so creatively fulfilled. And there was a point where I had an option to pursue two of my passions, two creative avenues in my life, and they sort of, two opportunities collided at the exact same time. It was this one, making these videos, and it was a huge risk, and I wouldn't be paid very much. And the other option was a job which I'd been working towards for 3 years, non-stop. And invested my heart and soul into, and I also love very much. And I got offered a lot of money, big opportunity to keep doing it. But I chose this because I felt there was something really special about it. And I know every day that I made the right decision, because there's never once been a moment where I've ever regretted it. I've never woken up, even when things are really tough, and gone, I wish I had chosen the other option. So I know in my heart of hearts, this is the best thing that's ever happened to me. And I'm so grateful, so absolutely thankful for every single person that makes this possible, because it's made possible by the people that watch the videos, and it's made possible by the people that support my Patreon, and it's made possible by the people that donate for my templates, and the people that buy my miniatures, and then all the people that are in my life that have provided support to me by talking me through my problems, or helping me navigate difficult things, or putting in their own hours to make sure I can get over deadlines, or allow me to use their resources, or crash on their couch, or help me travel from place to place, or put trust in me when I don't have any money and I need to borrow some really quick so I can keep going. And I have rode this line of of doing really well and financial struggle this entire time, but it's because every single time I ever get a little bit of money, I want to invest it back into this and do something bigger and more exciting, and keep pushing what I can do and providing for the people that have invested so much into me. So I don't know. It's hard to articulate how much this means to me, and instead I just try to show how much it means to me. And it's honestly the world. You know, doing this is my first love, truly. And it's my reason for waking up. And it's my reason to force myself to go to bed so I can get up and do it the next day too. So, yeah. Thank you, everyone. And on that, that's the end of the Q&A. Thank you. All right.